Hello everyone and welcome to our last Barracks tower in Kingdom Rush Vengeance, which also happens to be my favorite, since they combine two things I love, ranged units and Kingdom Rush Origins. The tower I'm talking about is none other than Sylvan Harassers.
Ours is your last breath.
In the ReVengeance mod, they gained more melee damage at lower levels, more damage in ranged, way higher HP, higher passive dodge chance, and shorter respawn rate, at the cost of being way more expensive and having a slower ranged attack rate. This last point is important, since in vanilla, ranged and melee mods are practically the same, while in ReVengeance they actually have significantly higher DPS in melee mode, so much so that level 4 Harassers individually have some of the highest DPS among allied units. This means that you essentially have a choice between very high damage but fragile melee soldiers or slightly lower but still good DPS ranged units. Their main drawback is naturally their lack of armor and lack of numbers, which makes them not as survivable and not as good at prolonged stalling as other barracks, but they aren't as fragile as it might seem at first glance. In ReVengeance, level 4 Harassers have 400 HP, which is quite a lot and gives them some edge over Orcs and Dark Knights against true damage and even against explosive damage. On top of that, they have a passive dodge chance, which is further improved by Backstab that now deals a respectable 50 to 60 damage and gives Harassers 70% dodge chance at max level, which improves their survivability considerably. If that wasn't enough, Spectral Fury is now guaranteed on death and gives Harassers a few more seconds of life, during which they can deal true damage. All of these changes made them surprisingly survivable against certain enemies and made them less of a glass cannon. Interestingly enough, Arrow Storm was nerfed in terms of damage, number of arrows, and cost to again boost the melee aspect of Harassers, but its cooldown was lowered, so in my opinion it is still the most important ability in their arsenal. With it, you can rack up a lot of damage on slow enemies and quickly dispose of annoying ranged enemies. There were two levels in the campaign where my strategy was built around this specific upgrade, namely City of Lozagon, where my Harassers unleashed hell on golem houses, and Sharkpool Reef, in which I used Harassers with Arrowstorm upgrade on all three lanes to defeat Megalodons, freeing up my hero to deal with Bullshark Dashers and what have you. This was especially important here, as this last wave of 5 Megalodons always gave me trouble and caused most of my losses during the boss wave. Eventually, I learned to rebuild towers eaten by the Deep King as Sylvan Harassers, and used their ranged attack, which was just enough to get me through this hell. In the end, Sylvan Harassers can fulfill two main roles in ReVengeance, being a standard barracks tower with an emphasis on damage, high HP and dodging enemy attacks, which works decently well in levels without huge waves, or alternatively they can be used in their ranged supporter role, especially when paired with other barracks, but sometimes on their own, in order to deal a lot of damage to slow tanks or to deal with flying enemies. Their capabilities are most prominently illustrated in the Hammerhold Elite campaign, where they can deal with Desert Eagles, Magic Carpets and Genies very effectively, while still being good at just being barracks and stalling enemies. For me, this versatility and strategic depth make them by far the most fun barracks to use, and you will see them in many of my playthroughs. That was all for today. Next, we will begin Mage Towers with the first and maybe even the best one, Infernal Mage. Take care.